Hello everyone, SP here. Today I'm going to be ranking the Mega Man X games, all 8 of them. With the advent of AI here and the heated discussions around it being prevalent, let's talk about a series that kind of did it like 20 years ago and was way cooler. Mega Man X games are a continuation of the original Mega Man games, keeping the similar gameplay but adding some key differences like a deeper story, wall jumping, dashing, and Buzz Lightyear. Here are my conditions, rules, whatever you want to call it. 1. Mainline tiles only. No Extreme 1 or 2 or Command Mission. I haven't played those. I don't think you want to hear me talk about them, since they're basically just inferior reskins of the originals. Except Command Mission. I've heard some good things about Command Mission. 2. This video will probably contain spoilers, but do you really care like what happens at the end of X7? And lastly, keep in mind this is my opinion. You have yours. Put it in the comments. I look at them and I enjoy them. Everything after this point will pretty much be unscripted, so let's begin. At the very bottom of our list is X6, because it's just a really bad game. Part of that might be because it was kind of against what Inafune wanted, you know, like X5 was supposed to be the end of the series. It's kind of like an unplanned pregnancy, in that it wasn't supposed to happen. Let's start off with the positives. I think the first thing that I can think of is the graphics. They look pretty similar to X4 and X5, but I mean they're still some of the best looking games. The very sprite. I love the sprites of like X, Zero, the Mavericks, Sigma. The stages look beautiful. The enemies, they all like it's much more refined, from the original trilogy. They all look smoother and like taller. Another positive I can think of is the music. I think this is the last X game with some like bops, because X7 and X8, they have some good tracks, but these are very memorable, and I've used some of X6's music in my videos. I know in the rambling about Tears of the Kingdom, I used the Rainy Turtleoid song, because that's a bop, that's a banging track. I mean, I think that's probably the last of the positives, because the negatives are that there's just it's so difficult in all the wrong places. The difficulty isn't like a fair challenge, it's just bullshit. There's nightmare effects, which kind of sounds cool. Alright, so they take the like X1, I think only X1 does this, where like all the stages change based on which stage you played previously. So like I think you played like Chill Penguin, it freezes Flame Mammoth stage and makes it easier, and Storm Eagle, you do that before Spark Mandrill, and the ship crashes into Spark Mandrill's stage, and it's something to do with the lights in Spark Mandrills. I can't remember if they like flicker or like they stay on or something. But I think it makes it easier for Spark Mandrill. The nightmare effects do the complete opposite. It's in reverse. So they make the stage harder. The one example I can think of is there's like 2 examples that I can think of. There's the Rainy Turtleoid stage. I'm pretty sure it's Acid Rain is the nightmare effect, and that's just actual like brain dead game design. It's stupid. And then there's Infinity Maginian. I believe that's how you pronounce it, and Infinity Maginian's stage there's this like giant mech that appears in the background, and the nightmare effect makes it so there's just a bunch of like fucking enemies attacking you. It's just a clusterfuck of enemies are on the screen, and it's like a bullet hell as you're just trying to get through these enemies. And it's easier to just get to like not fight the enemies and just try to get to the end of the stage because of just how the sheer number of them. So they're not like, I feel like it's a cool concept on paper, but in execution it just fails because it's just difficulty for no reason. There's the Reploids and the Sigma virus. I think the Sigma virus is in the state. There's that one Maverick with all the totem poles, and it's all RNG based, which is just. And one of the capsules is armor capsules is hidden through the RNG, which can change every time you play the level. So like you could not even get it in that one playthrough of the level. So you have to keep on like repeating playing through it over and over again till you get it, which is actually like, what were they thinking? There's clearly like a bunch of like bugs that were never like ironed out or fixed because I mean it wasn't really even planned to come out. It was 9 months after X5. It's literally an unplanned pregnancy. This game was a mistake. Black Zero was coded into the game as like an unlockable that you could get through like legitimate means, but like Capcom's coding was fucking horrible, and they made it impossible to actually unlock Black Zero. The gate stages are stupid. The gate boss fight is harder than the final boss, and it's like the hardest X boss that I've had to like face, because it like you're like in this like there's like pits. I think the floor is like bottomless, and gates like floating around the boss arena, and there's like platforms that you have to get on, and it's a really annoying fight, and I hate it. I hate Gate. He's stupid. His design is just stupid. I hate him. If you're a Gate fan, please like tell me in the comments why you like Gate. What's so appealing about Gate? The stages before Gate are like actually like designed from like, I believe someone at Capcom like had like a deal with like the devil and like was like working in hell or something, like designing the one stage with like all the spikes and shit. What were they thinking with this game? The Maverick designs are alright. They're definitely like, this is definitely kind of like, you know, you can see a fall off present. They're clearly not as good as the previous ones. But I mean, like, they have cool concepts. I mean, I like that Rainy Turtleoid is like a huge, gigantic tortoise turtle thing, and he like takes up like half the screen. Commander Yammark, that's a good one. I like that. Like Dragonfly. But like Infinity Maginian is like a clamshell thing. I don't know. I feel like they were running out of ideas here. Also, like, there's no like English voice acting. There's just a Japanese dub or Japanese sub or whatever, and the translation is god awful. It's not even translated right. There's a bunch of like mistakes and with the grammar and I think spelling mistakes. Oh yeah, Metal Shark Player, or whatever his name is. His stage sucks. It's a bunch of like, the whole stage is about crushing you, and you can die to instant death. Crushing, I guess. So it's a very tense level, and you have to like. There's no way you can do it on your first try, because there's just a bunch of like tricks like will get you if you don't know about them. There's Blizzard Wolfang's stage with that whole ice block section. I think that might be randomly generated, I'm not sure, but that's annoying to get through. There's sections in the gate stages where like if you don't have a certain armor equipped, I believe you can do these sections off, but you have to have like frame perfect accuracy to do the moves in order to get to the like, I believe there's like a gap that you need to use, I think, like the shadow armor to get through. But if you don't have that equipped, you have to do this frame perfect move to get to the other side, which is stupid. The whole reappearance of Zero and the inconsistencies in the timeline is just an expected problem because of this game. I believe Zero's like, I hid myself while I tried to repair myself. What? It's like, what? What the fuck do you mean? What does that doesn't even make any sense. I'm tired of talking about this god awful game. It's so trash. But with that, X6 gets an F tier because it's a stinking pile of shit. Our next game on the list is X3. I feel like I'm gonna get some heat for this, but please don't click off because I feel like my other games on this list are pretty standard. The reason why I just don't like X3 is because it's got kind of in the same vein of X6's problems. It's just arbitrary difficulty for the sake of arbitrary difficulty. But I do think the stages are a little bit, they're designed better than X6. Because, I mean, but that's not really a hard thing because X6's stages are god awful. But I think like the main thing is just the damage that the enemies do. They increased it to such a rate that like, I mean, like enemies can like 3-shot you. I get this is like the third game in the series, so like they probably wanted to make it harder, but like not to this degree. It doesn't have to be to this degree. The Mavericks are kind of lacking in this one. Toxic Seahorse. Hold on, let me look up the X3 Mavericks. I'm kind of forgetting them. Also, when you look up X3 Maverick, you do not get the X3 Mavericks. You get the ATV, so that's pretty cool. That's not what I wanted. Volt Catfish? What is Volt Catfish? Why is that a thing? Who designed this? Neon Tiger is pretty cool. The Hornet guy, I can't remember. It was like Blast Hornet or something. He's pretty cool. The Crawfish, yeah, he exists. Tunnel Rhino, not really cool. I think there's a Gravity Beetle. Gravity Beetle's pretty. I remember his stage being fun. The music, I feel like the music was kind of like it had like a few bops, but it wasn't I don't think it's as good coming off like X2 and X1, which has like some of the best music, SNES music, the best X music. There's also the whole thing with Zero, so you can play as Zero in this game, which is awesome. You can play as Zero. We get to finally play as Zero in this game. But there's a caveat. If you die as Zero, you forever lose Zero, and you can't play as him anymore. So it's kind of, and Zero kind of sucks because I don't think he gets any of the upgrades or anything. So he just kind of sucks. So why would you ever use Zero? And also, this is like a weird thing, but like I personally don't really like Zero's designs in like these couple games because he's taller than X and it looks so uncanny. Like he looks like he has like a bigger head and like it throws me off. I much prefer his design in like the X4 through like X8. This is one that I would never really want to play again. Like you would have to hold me at gunpoint to play this. Dr. Doppler's here, but again, this is X game, so of course the final villain boss fight has to be Sigma again. I lied about whatever I said about Gate because I think this game has the like worst boss fight in the series, and that's Kaiser Sigma. Just Kaiser Sigma. I think his first phase of Sigma's first phase is pretty cool. I think it's the one where he has like he either has the Wolverine or the Captain America shield. I think X1 is the Wolverine. I think this one's the Captain America shield. The Kaiser Sigma's weak point is, I think it's supposed to be like these air vents that, I think his weak point is supposed to be like this vent or like exhaust pipe, whatever thing that connects to his head, and you're supposed to shoot there, but it's but like his head is the like thing that is like shown getting hit, so it's a very like awkward like weak point that you have to hit, and it's not explained well, so it's just annoying trying to fight him. He's not even like that difficult. His moves are kind of easy and predictable to like to dodge. It's just trying to shoot him and trying to damage him is literally like really fucking hard. The chip up, and then after you beat Kaiser Sigma, he has this stupid, he has to burn the ground, burn wherever you are, and you have to do that, so you're not even done yet, so you have to get through that too, which can just be annoying if you like die after. I mean, it's pretty easy to do, but like if you die, then you have to do the Kaiser Sigma all over again. The chip upgrades and the capsules or whatever. It has this stupid thing with the gold armor, I remember, where like if you got the 4 chip upgrades or whatever before, then I don't think you could get the gold armor, which is again arbitrary. Why can't you do that? There's the mech ride armor, skins, whatever, different types of ride armors that you can use. But I think you have to get a certain one first before you can switch out the ride armors. Again, arbitrary. Bit and Bite are in here. Any fans of Bit and Bite? I like their names, but I can't really remember their designs. X3 is just annoying to play through, and I would just call it arbitrary. That's all it is. So X3 gets a D tier. Before you click off again, our next game is X7. I don't think it's that bad, but like it's still kind of bad. It's the transition era of Megaman from 2D to 3D. And with that, you have some awkward puberty in the mix, which is just... I feel like this game probably would have been better if it had the 3D aesthetic, but was basically 2D. So basically Megaman X8. I think Megaman X8 is just a better X7. I mean, let's start off with the main thing. You can't play as Mega Man in the beginning of a Mega Man X game. You have to collect 64 Reploids. I mean rescue, not collect. They're people. Or you have to be all 8 Mavericks, which if you're like doing the Reploids blind and like some of them die, then you're like not resetting, then you'll probably get the Reploids by like, I don't know, like 5 to 6 or 7 Mavericks, which is pretty close to the 8 Mavericks. So basically like halfway through the game, you get to play as Mega Man X. Before that, you have to play as Zero and the newcomer, Axel. I like Axel. Axel has a cool design. I think he's better in X8 because he's just, in this game, he's just a worse Mega Man. I mean, in X8, he's just a worse Mega Man. But, like, can't get any of the armor upgrades. He has the copy shot, which he allows him to be any of the enemies, which is like the gimmick. But the gimmick is like only in these like one-time situations, and you never want to use the copy shot unless you're getting upgrades or whatever, or saving Reploids to get X. Axel just kind of, he's good. I like his, because I mean he's X. He's a worse X, but like I mean he can still like shoot, and you have the auto aim, the auto lock on, whatever, on the enemy, so he's way better than like Zero. They really nerfed my boy Zero in this game because melee doesn't really work here. You have to get very up and close to your enemies. And Axel's voice acting is actually terrible in this game. He's very whiny. Not very good fit for the character. I would have preferred someone else. Zero has a pretty good voice. I really like Zero's voice, and in some ways I actually prefer it to X8. And of course X-Force, but X-Force is iconic. And X, what were they thinking? X sounds like a me. He doesn't sound like, he sounds whiny. He doesn't sound like a heroic, kind of like stoic, stoic figure that's like war is bad, and like fighting these like mavericks is kind of bad, but I feel like it's necessary, and I feel bad for them, but I have to kill them. And X7, that's kind of like thrown out the window, because they're like, why do I have to fight? Why do I have to kill these mavericks? Guys, stop fighting the mavericks. Guys, stop it. Stop fighting. Stop killing the mavericks. I thought they were killing the mavericks. I thought like throughout the games they were like killing the mavericks. And like, I guess this game kind of tries to explain that with the like whole boss rush thing, and that like it's actually a really good thing of X7, the whole boss rush, and like they're presumably like dead. It's like their graves and whatnot, and they're like coming back from the dead or something. But again, I thought they were killing the mavericks. I mean, you're like locked in a room with them, and it's clear that their intent is also killing you. So I thought like X and Zero, they had no qualms with killing the mavericks. The 3D sections are kind of the camera doesn't work, and a lot of the sections are just really like, there's Flame Hyanards and the Storm Eagle wannabe stage. I can't remember its name. Their stages suck. There's this whole lava section, and enemies can just knock you back and you fall into the lava, and that's insta kill. The enemies are just really annoying, and it's really tight platforming, and you have that tight platforming again with the Storm Eagle wannabe, and the plane sections. Oh my god, they're like color coded planes, and some of like the red planes, when you get on them, are supposed to, I guess, to be like this automated section, but you can still, they're like the hardest planes, I feel like, or ships or whatever they're called, aircrafts, whatever, because they move around so much, and it's really hard to control the character you're playing as, so you end up falling a lot on those automated sections. And the game kind of like, again, like X3, it kind of is like a harder, it's really hard at first to play through, but I feel like once you kind of get some upgrades and stuff, it becomes like a breeze to get through, and it's actually really fun. One of the parts that I do like is the whole upgrade and ship system that they have, where you save some Reploids and then you get some upgrades that like maybe decrease damage, makes your rate of fire faster. There's one that increases invincibility frames. There's a new game plus where you can just go to town, and you already have the chips that you previously acquired, and then you can add more to make your character even stronger. I really like that. And of course, you get to start the game as X in the Mega Man X game. I feel like they should have just like cut down the like amount of mavericks and the amount of Reploids to like half, where you need to like maybe save like 32 Reploids, or do 4 mavericks. You have to beat 4 mavericks to get X. I feel like that would have increased the likability of this game, because then you can get like X and like two mavericks if you're doing like the Reploids and stuff, and you're always like guaranteed to get X at like the midpoint of the game. But I think the better option would probably just be, let's have X at the beginning. Or make Axel the new X. Make him have like upgrades or something, and there's like no X in this game, but like he's referred to as X, so it can be called like X7 or something. but like I feel like that would be a better alternative. Not as many people would probably like this or play this if Axel was like the new X. I mean, of course, I would probably have X appear. I feel like Axel just doesn't, his gameplay gimmick just doesn't really work as well. I mean, compared to like Zero, who's way different than X, but also is really fun to play as. In X7 and X8, you're not really yearning to play as Axel. You want to play as the cooler characters. There's this whole plot with the subplot with Red, I think his name is, and he's like Axel's like mentor or something, and it's stupid. And Red does have a really fun boss fight though. I really like his boss fight. It's really hard and challenging. It's not as hard as Gates and stuff, but I feel like it's a fair challenge. But I think the real final boss of this game is Flame Hyanard, because I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this, because oh my god, he has to remind you that he's going to burn you to the ground, burn you to the ground, burn you to the ground, burn to the ground. Burn to the ground, burn to the ground. That's all he says. That's all he says throughout the entire fight. And his health bar is... all the health bars in this game are so long and take so much time. Like, boss fights can range from like 5 to like 10 minutes. I mean, not if you have like the weakness. Like, if you have the weakness, maybe like 3 to 5 minutes. Nah. I mean, I would even like think of fighting like a Flame Hyanard with like the Buster only. His boss fight is super annoying. You have to get on this gazelle thing, robotic gazelle thing, and then there's like 3 of them, and pick a god and pray that you don't fall out, you don't get into like the center of the gazelle thing and initiate the thing where all the 3 guys are circling around you. And if you try to get out of that circle, they'll just scrunch you back in there. They'll gang up on you and put you back into the center. So you have to keep on attacking them. So there's a strategy where you kind of jump on like the shoulder of the gazelle, I guess, and the kind of like this hump thing. Where you have to like jump on the shoulder and kind of the neck, and keep jumping on them, so that you don't get into the center, but you can also attack Flame Hyanard, and you can dodge the missiles that are being attacked on you. Flame Hyanard is just really hard. Flame Hyanard is just really annoying, but I feel like he's the standout moment of X7. And one thing about Flame Hyanard is that his voice acting, a lot of people say is bad, and it kind of is, but like I feel like it's very accurate, because this guy I want to put him out of his misery. And then Axel has this moment where he's like he's like pointing his like gun at Flame Hyanard, and he's like, I got the right medicine. And it's like, oh my god, Axel, put that gun away. I get what X was saying, bro. I actually do like the art style of this game. The art direction or whatever. I like the kind of like the cell shaded. I believe you would refer to this game as kind of cell shaded. It's not like the best looking X game, but in some aspects I would say it looks better than X8. Not in like the stages. I think the overall stages kind of look better in X8, but like the character designs I feel like look better in X7. The gameplay is kind of rough, and especially like in the 3D, but like even in the 2D, it doesn't really feel as smooth and responsive. But this later gets fixed in X8. We'll get to that when we get to X8. And of course, I've talked about Zero. He just doesn't feel as responsive or smooth as he was in like X4 through X6. But yeah, that's probably like all. The Mavericks, again, they really suck. Tornado Tunyon. What is a Tunyon? What is a Tunyon? There's what else is there? There's that his name's like a Ryder Bor Borinsky, Ryder Borinsky or whatever. What it's like, it's supposed to be like an enemy that you faced in like previous X games, but now he's a Maverick. But they picked like the worst possible one to do. This game is not as like, it's not the worst Mega Man game that I've played, as like a lot of people throw out, and like we'll say like X7 is like the worst, it's the worst thing ever. But it's not like definitely not the best. And so with that, I'm gonna give it a D tier. I don't really, it's okay, it's alright. I find some enjoyment in how bad it is. Our next game is surprisingly X5. Before I played like X6 through like 8, and you asked me like what my opinion on X5 was, I would have probably put this at like the higher end of the list. But now that I like think about it and really like really think about it, I don't really like, I find this game kind of mid. It's just, I mean, I can't really like, even thinking about this game, I can't really think about like what's so good about it. This was supposed to be the end of the franchise, end of the series, and it's alright. There's a bunch of like weird gimmick stuff thrown in here that doesn't, like, there's these two characters that are added to the cast that seem like they're just trying to ride off the coattails of X4's success. You have this guy who looks like the Colonel, and then you have one that looks like Double, and his name's like Douglas, and the other one's called like Cygnus. They're both like very forgettable, and like who cares about them? But Alia's introduced in this game, I believe, and Alia's pretty cool. She's really annoying in this game. I know, I was like, oh, she's cool, but I was like, she's kind of annoying in this game because you can't really skip any of the things she says. They do remedy this in X8 and like not X7, because she's always shouting. It's good in X6, I believe. One of the rare good things about X6. It's got some really good levels, I believe, and some pretty cool Mavericks. I like that the Mavericks are named in the English, named after Guns N' Roses members. It really, like, I always remember like some of their names, like Grizzly Slash. I feel like that's a better name than Crescent Bear or whatever that they call him in the Japanese sub or dub or wherever you want to call that. In the Japanese version, that's what I meant. Squid Adler, like those are better names, I believe, in my opinion, and they really stand out compared to the other Mavericks. I see a lot of people complain about the Guns N' Roses names. It just feels kind of like an underwhelming X4 to me. It's got a lot of the same aesthetics from X4. I mean, there's both of them have like a jet bike stage. Squid Adler's stage starts with a pretty bitch move, in that it starts with like this pit before like the ready screen even starts, and you're somehow supposed to be this like insane psychic that can predict this. I mean, the stage start screen hasn't even like shown up, and there's already like a pit they have to jump over, and it's very reminiscent of I forgot the guy's name from X4. Hold on. Oh yeah, Jet Stingray. It's very like reminiscent of that. But I like the second half of the stage, although it is very like, it's very challenging because you have to. It's very challenging because you have to put like, you have to time the these electric field barriers that act as like switches to doors and whatnot. It can be very time consuming, and I like that it is kind of challenging, but Squid Adler stage is definitely the one that I remember the most, and one that I don't really like. You have Axel the Red, great name, with a bunch of like spikes and stuff thrown in. I love spikes. Spikes is the best thing to come out of the Mega Man X franchise, and just about the Mega Man franchise. The spikes are just the greatest thing ever. I hate spikes. This game is just very kind of divisive. It's just not like, it's not that good. It's just kind of down the middle, not too bad, but not too great either. There's like RNG at the end of the game that determines if you get to play as Zero or not. Oh yeah, Dove McWhalen's stage sucks. It's, I would say, probably one of the, like, it actually kind of reminds me of X6 stages, in that it's really bad. It's like, it's a slow auto scroller, and it's like it's very boring to play. That stage is the equivalent of molasses. There's like multiple endings, and then there's like, I don't know what this mechanic is called, but like you get certain ship upgrades, I think, and that's completely RNG. I don't know how the system works, but I know there is a trophy related to it, and it's very confusing and convoluted. And this game just has like a convoluted with all the endings and stuff. It's very like the mechanics aren't that well explained. Dynamo's cool. I mean, he's alright. And there's also like a bunch of fan service with this game, because you have X versus Zero, the Shadow Devil, Rangda Mangda is back. I do like the like ending and stuff portion of this game. It's very fun. It's very fun and very nostalgic, and actual good excuse for like fan service and stuff. And here's the thing, as much as like I'm like X6 sucks and it shouldn't have been made, but like I feel like this wouldn't have been like a satisfying conclusion to the X series. I mean, you have like the like X with the saber, Zero saber in his hand. He's like, oh, I will, no matter what happens, I will save the world or something. I don't know what he says at the end. I'm just like paraphrasing. I don't even think I'm paraphrasing that good, because I have no idea what he says at the end. But he's like, as long as I have the saber in my hand, I can save the world. It's just not. I feel like X8's ending is good. It's better. X7's alright. But I feel like X8 is a very nice, satisfying conclusion, even though it is kind of open-ended and ambiguous. I feel like X9 was kind of planned there. But how I would describe this game is it's just very kind of slow and mid. So with that, it gets a C tier. Our next game is Mega Man X8, the conclusion to the series, and a really good one. I really like this one. It does have its faults, though. I like to describe this one as the basically X7 V2. Like, it's just a better X7. It's what X7 probably should have been. So they've scrapped the whole 3D gameplay. No more 3D gameplay. Bad X. No more 3D gameplay. So they've stuck with the 2D gameplay, but kind of kept the whole 3D ness of the game, with all the 3D models, X, Zero, all the enemies, the Mavericks and stuff. Everything is like 3D-ish, but it's in 2D. It's all in 2D. No 3D section. I find this one has some actually good mechanics that they've added and new gimmicks and stuff. Axel, for one, really good. good change. I still don't really want to use him, and I only use like X and Zero mostly, but sometimes when I have to get the upgrades, I would use Axel occasionally. I used them in the beginning. Axel works better. I do find his like aiming kind of weird and wonky at times. I don't really like that, and that's why I use X, because you can control where the shot is, and X is just overpowered because he gets the armor upgrades and stuff. But I do like the kind of rapid fire of Axel, and his copy shot is fixed. It doesn't take a million shots to get to copy enemies. You only like have to hit like once, I believe, and they drop their DNA or whatever, and you can transform. I like the stages in the Mavericks for the most part, but there are some like annoying ones. I hate Optic Sunflowers one. I hate. Oh my god! I feel like the worst stage ever designed in like the X series is probably in this one, and it's the Gravity Primrose. No, is I think I called one of the enemies in one of the Mavericks in X3 Gravity Beetle. I think this is the game where Gravity Beetle is. It's whatever stage with all the spikes and stuff. I hate that stage. And a tip for anyone who is thinking about playing X8 or starting to play X8, make sure your third stage is the spike stage, because there's an annoying mini boss that's almost like it's just really impossible to get through, where like there's spikes and there's blocks on spikes, and you have like to endure it for like a minute or so, and it's really annoying and really tedious because it's instant kill. So make sure that's replaced with Vile, so you don't have to worry about that. And make sure you also, of course, get your upgrades. The jet bike stage, that was fun. I really like the bamboo pandemonium. That's a crazy name to call your Maverick, but I like it. I like the fire stage. Although it is like an auto-scroller, it was pretty fun. And I actually really like the ending of that stage, because once you beat the Maverick, it's not over yet, and you have to, the volcano is erupting, so you have to jump up. It's kind of like the Sigma fights, where you have to, like, it's not done yet. You have to escape Sigma's head. Pause. Whoa, pause. The chip upgrade system, I like it, but I feel like it's a little too grindy for my taste. I do think you get an upgrade where, but you have to go through Optic Sunflower stage to get it, where you get chips by walking or something. So it's kind of like the EXP Walker from Kingdom Hearts. Watch my Kingdom Hearts ranking video. I do like it reminds me of the X7 chip system, but I actually think, no, I feel like X8 could probably have a better system if it wasn't too grindy, if the upgrades were cheaper. But I'm not. I like them. I like getting the chips and stuff. Although, to get some of the rare chips, which are like, they unlock upgrades and stuff, they're kind of like collectibles. Without a guide, they would probably like be impossible to find. I don't even know how these people who were like coming up with the guide found them, because they're like in the most like just obscure hidden places. And you have to use this upgrade from what's his name? Triglobite. I really like Triglobite's stage, where you're getting chased down by this huge robot thing. It's really cool. It reminds me of the Brawl stage that's based on the Mario stage, the old Mario stage. That's kind of like in a desert. There's no Reploids. You can like turn off the navigators. I forgot that like you can turn off the navigators. I always had them on, so that's why I said they could be like a little bit annoying. But you also get like 2 extra navigators, and they're not as annoying and as Alia was in X5. They're really like they're only in the parts where they need to be, and I like the designs. They look really nice. You can get the secret characters. You don't have to put a code in them. There's the whole tag team system. It's alright. I thought it was very like fun to do in boss battles, but like you're not gonna use this in like regular, like just going through the stage. The controls are very nice. They're very responsive, and everything feels like if I make a mistake, it's my fault. It's not the game's fault. It's not like X6. Vile's back. Vile's cool. I love Vile. There's like difficulty options. That's awesome. Although if you play on the easy difficulty, from what I've seen, I think it cuts you off from like beating the final boss, which is stupid. I don't know. I don't see a point in that. That's arbitrary. I think from what I've seen of the hard mode, it's also arbitrary because it kind of reminds me of like X6 and X3, where you just take too much damage. Well, no, it's X3, I believe, where you just take too much damage. I get it's a hard mode, but normal mode I think was very nice. It was great. It was not too difficult, not too easy. And I feel like X8 just feels like a natural addition to like X5 and X4. While no, I feel like it's kind of like a combination of like X1, X5, X4, X2, you know, like just thrown in together. The Mavericks have like these super attacks that they can pull off, where like they're all like purple based, I think, and like Triglobite, he throws like crystal walls at you, and you have to dodge them. It's kind of like a platforming challenge, and I think these are cool moves. They're very easy to read, but they're kind of hard to kind of pull off. One thing I like is that the final stages, you get to choose which one. They appear on your like where you fight the Mavericks and stuff. They appear there, so you can choose whenever you want. After you cleared them, you can choose which stage you want, like Sigma Stage 1, Sigma Stage 2, Sigma Stage 3, I don't know. They all have like a different name. I think one's called like Jacob Elevator. But what's not so nice is the final stage. It's alright. I mean, I feel like someone at this game kind of had like a spike fetish, because I feel like there's a lot of spikes here. And the final stage, I find it's alright. But that final spike section, it's platforming, and like it's very platforming, harkening back to the platforming challenges of like the original trilogy. But I can find like the spikes hitboxes kind of a little bit off-centered for some reason. It's just a very tense final stage. But I like the aesthetic of like the whole moon. You're on the moon now, and then you fight Sigma. Sigma's back, and Sigma's like second form is actually kind of hard. But after you beat Sigma, surprise! Sigma's not actually the final boss this time. It's Lumine, which is based on the moon. You know, I think that's kind of like a moon name. And I like Lumine's design. I thought Lumine was like a girl at first, but Lumine's actually a boy. I chalk that up to the voice actor or voice actress. Although I like, the only reason why I really like Lumine is because it's not Sigma, but Lumine like really comes out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're fighting now. I like Lumine's first form. I think it's really fun where like Lumine like takes all the forms of all of the 8 Mavericks, and has like these balls, spears flying around him, and then like he'll use one and then use like the super attack that each Maverick does, and that's how you tell which Maverick he's like possessing, whatever, using the power of. So then you use the weakness of that Maverick to then hit and defeat Lumine. I really like that boss fight. But the second boss fight is just bullshit. So the attacks are not very readable and they're not clear, so it's just like you're getting hit a lot, and you better hope you have some sub tanks on you, because you're gonna get hit here. Like the supposed weakness of this Lumine is not very clear. I think you better off just be using your Buster or your Z-Saber or whatever. But the key thing is at the end, where Lumine activates his special attack, which is called Lost Paradise or Paradise Lost or whatever, in which you don't have a timer, but it's not on screen, but you have a timer. It's 30 seconds, or Lumine, like, I don't know, destroys the world or something, and that's not a good thing. So you have to do that before the screen turns black. You have to, and like Lumine has like a bunch of ton of shields on himself. They have to get through it. So just use like a team attack, and then you'll be safe. But it's not very clear that there's a timer, and like if you die to this, it's a game over. It's like no matter how many lives, I think from what I've heard, it's an instant game over. No matter how many lives you have, how many retry chips, you just put to like the start of like the Sigma stage 3. Well, like you're thrown into the title screen with the Mavericks and stuff, and then you have to pick the Sigma stage 3. So that's very great of the developers to throw in kind of a stupid attack. I feel like it would have been remedied if they just had a timer that said like 30 seconds till Lumine like your ass. But X8 is a really solid game, so I'm gonna give it a B tier. Our next game is Megaman X4. I think X4 is probably one of like the best Mega Man X games. And if it weren't for the terrible voice acting and cutscenes, I think that it would have probably like the best story in like the X games. I really enjoy Zero's story. It's very original. And it doesn't really have anything to do with Sigma until the end. Iris is cool. I like Iris, and I think like it would have been cool to well, it's more of a I like Iris because, you know, it's kind of like Kingdom Hearts and like Roxas. I like it because it happened in that one game, and it doesn't come over until Roxas comes over in like Kingdom Hearts 3 and stuff. But Iris is, I feel better than like Alia and like and all the other robot companions you get in the later games. I feel like it's a very smooth transition to the SNES to the PlayStation 1 era of consoles. The sprite work and artwork looks amazing. It stands the test of time. X4 through X6 you could probably release now, and no one would like realize that they were like PlayStation 1 games, you know? Whereas like you get X7, X8, you can kind of see its age. I really like the stage designs and the locations. I also like the text before the Mavericks, where it's like you go to Magma Dragoon and then it's like, he hid himself in a volcano and now he's on the loose or something. And the Mavericks and the stages are all solid. You got Cyber Peacock, Split Mushroom, Web Spider. I really like Jet Stingray stage compared to like Squid Adler and basically all the Jet Bike stages. Except for X8. X8 also has a really good one. But I feel like Jet Stingrays is probably my favorite. Frost Walrus is really huge, and I think like besides like Flame Mammoth and maybe Blizzard Buffalo, he's like probably like the first like huge maverick that you get to see. I think Slash Beast is the one on the train. I really like that one. And Magma Dragoon is a cool one. His stage is awesome, and but what's cool about him is that he appears in like the first level, before doing all the Mavericks and stuff, and you get more character for him that you don't really get to see in a lot of the Mavericks. I mean, a lot of the Mavericks here, I think this is the first game where they talk to you and they tell you like, oh, I'm doing this for good, X and Zero. I'm not doing anything bad. And of course, you know, you have the thing that I mentioned about the they say what they are and what they did before you when you click on their screen on the Maverick selection screen. Is this game kind of easy? A little, but I think it, like, a lot of people like overestimate, like, I feel like a lot of people undermine the difficulty of it. I mean, it's still an X game, so there's still gonna be like some hard parts. This is the first one that introduced the checkpoint system, which would drastically change kind of how these levels were designed, because you get a checkpoint in between the stage. So if you get a game over, if you pass the checkpoint, you go to the checkpoint, which makes the levels easier, because these are kind of like, I would say, like the original trilogy. So those levels are designed to, you're supposed to get through them in like one set of lives. These ones, you can just, they're a lot easier. There's the whole thing with the double thing. He's alright. I don't really like remember him much, but I felt like it was a good but kind of like in your face twist. Like, his name's Double. Of course he's gonna be a double agent. This is the game where we actually get to play as Zero, and Zero is f***ing awesome. I love using his Z-Saber, and his Z-Saber, like the special moves that you get are more to play into his combos and stuff, which I found was a smart addition. I think this and X5 are probably like, I don't really remember about X6, but I remember like this and like X5. I actually used the like sub weapons and like stages and to like defeat enemies, where I just kind of used the Buster and like Z-Saber mostly for like the later games. Alright, it's time to talk about like the voice acting, and yeah, it's pretty bad. I think it's so bad that it's kind of good, but except for like X, because X doesn't, like, why the hell would you choose that voice for X? It's even worse than X7. He sounds like he's like 7 or something. Like, that is not what X is supposed to sound like. I love the scene where Zero and the Colonel are fighting. Also, the Colonel and guy, I forgot his name. I think he's like the General or something. They're both cool, and I really like their boss fights. Especially the General, because he's just huge. He's gigantic, and he takes up literally like the entire screen. But I love when like Zero and Colonel are fighting, and the voice acting there is just so, it's not even bad, it's just so good. It's like Zero's like, stop the coup, he says stop the coup. Oh, and then he like really fastly says, is this your decision? And I think this is the cutscene where he's like, what am I fighting for? And that's just an iconic line. Is it used a lot? Yes, but it's just so funny. But like, again, and it's like such a sad moment, and it's just the heavily like memed on part of the story, kind of like a lot of things. the most tragic part is like the one that is used a lot in memes and stuff. The Sigma boss fight is probably like one of the like hardest Sigma fights, especially that last phase. I found like with X, it's very hard. I remember with Zero it's kind of a little bit easier, but with X it's really hard to do. But with that, I'm gonna give X4 a A tier because it's really good. Our next game is Megaman X1. The start of the series and a banger in terms of gameplay and graphics and story because it's simple. It's a simple story, and none of the problems would be present yet, with like Sigma always returning and things. It wasn't convoluted yet. It was just actually very simple and very easy to understand. X1 really kind of earns its spot here because of how solid it is and in its gameplay, because a lot of things are like kind of archaic here, and I'm not like the biggest fan of the Maverick designs here, but I really like their stages. I mean, and there's also like the intro level, which I feel like is just a great introduction to the X series, and in terms of like its look and atmosphere, and it's teaching you gameplay slowly. And then like, the story with Zero and Vile coming in at the end, that's really epic. And I mean, you lose to Vile, and that's like, it feels like, I want to beat this Vile guy. And Zero looks so cool, and we wouldn't get to actually play Zero until like X4. I mean, he was playable in X3, but who plays a Zero in X3? Nobody. I really like the collectibles here. They're all very like easy, and there's not a lot to get. It's very simple. A lot of this game is just simple. One part that I don't like is that you don't get the dash immediately, which the next game and the last game on this list fixes that. So it's like really weird, because it's just a standard at this point for X games. Some like highlights are Chill Penguin stage is really good. Storm Eagles, Spark Mandrills is okay. Armadillo is really good. Boomer Kawanger, Launch Octopus is really good, and Flame Mammoth. Really solid. And it's not that I like hate the Maverick designs, it's more that I just find them kind of, boring and bland a little bit. But they're like very nostalgic and very iconic. Yeah, I would compare them to like the Gen 1 designs, where they're really good, but I find a lot of the Mavericks from the later games just more interesting and designed well. The music is probably like one of the best in the X series. You have things like Chill Penguins, Spark Mandrills, the intro stage, Launch Octopus, Armored Armadillo, all really good bangers. I really like the armor that you get once you get all the armor capsules. I found like it's probably like the best like armor design. That or X2. I feel like I probably like X2's better. Is this game kind of easy? I wouldn't say it's like the easiest one, because it's not. I feel like that has to go to like X7 or like X4. I feel like most of it just comes down to this game is replayed a ton. The original trilogy, and like they're all just very replayed for like whether it be speed runs or like challenge runs or whatever. And I mean, just casual like playthroughs, a lot of people just want to replay it because of how good it is, and it's very easy to like memorize the locations of like the armor capsules, the heart tanks, and like sub tanks and stuff. I feel like that's what makes it easier, because it's not like an easy game. I mean, the level design is kind of simpler than what it would be in compared to like X3 or something. But I mean, like, the Sigma stages are actually kind of like that one section where you're like, there's a bottomless pit and you have to get on that platform. That's actually kind of like a hard platforming challenge. That's maybe even like harder than like the entire game itself. Wolf Sigma. Oh my god, I forgot that he's like called Wolf Sigma. I feel like that whole Sigma meme and stuff has just really ruined my perception of Sigma. He's actually like one of the hardest like Sigma fights. You will probably have to use some sub tanks. You get 4 sub tanks in this game, and you'll probably have to use your sub tanks on him. He's pretty hard. X1 is here because it's legendary. It gets an S tier. Our last game is X2. I don't know like how popular this take would be or like how hot it is, but I really like X2. I don't know, I just really like X2. I think a lot of it has to do with I really like the Maverick designs, and I think the music here is probably the best music. For example, I even like I use Bubble Crab's stage for my spoiler warning. I haven't used that because it seems that now these days I'm always just like at the start of the video I'm like, hey, there's gonna be spoilers here, and that's mainly for like the good and the bad. The stage design, they look not only good but they play like really well, and I just really like the look of this game. It seems very like brighter than X1, and it's not as dark as X3. It can be like a little frustrating at times, but I feel like that's what makes it interesting. I really like the Mavericks in this game. They all look really good. You have like Will Gator, Bubble Crab, Overdrive Ostrich, Flame Stag, who else? Magnus Centipede. My god, I can't remember the moth's name. But really, like, there's really good like stage design gimmicks here. Even like I feel like this is where it began, you know, the stage gimmicks here. You have Magnus Centipede with, I believe it's Magnus Centipede with the you know, searchlights. Overdrive Ostrich with the jet bike. That was the first time it was used, I believe, because I mean in the intro you see like that nameless guy get killed, and you're all on jet bikes. Oh yeah, and you also get to start with a dash in this one, which would become the golden standard, and it just feels like home. But there's also the Air Dash 2, which is a fantastic addition. It's just a great follow-up to X1 that really expands on all the good things from X1 and makes them even better. And then there's the X Hunters. I think the X Hunters are probably the best usage of, you know, they're the best version of what they are supposed to be. You know, the bosses, the mini bosses that come in randomly during a stage. I feel like they're the best version of this. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think it's like Sergey's or Sergez, or I feel like it's Sergey's, which I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be like Dr. Wily. I think that's the whole lore situation with them. You have Violin and Agile or Agile. I don't know how to pronounce their names, but their designs are really nice, especially Violin's his like little tail whipping attack that goes across the screen. And the Sigma stages are really fun. And then you have the final Sigma boss fight, which is easier than X3, and I believe is like way more fun than like it and even maybe like X1 a little bit. And I love that they used kind of the SNES chip with the whole like 3D stuff. It's Sigma's head. I just find it a really cool boss fight. So with that, I'm gonna give X2 a nice S tier. And that's all my opinions on all the X games. I feel like they're pretty standard. There might be some differences here and there. I've heard that some people's favorite game is X6, so I could be wrong. Someone might think that X1 is the worst game ever, and think that like X6 and X3 are like the best games ever designed, ever made. But keep in mind, this was all my opinion. Let me know your opinion down in the comments down below, and since I got like a lot of dislikes on the Kingdom Hearts one, if you're gonna dislike it, also like comment down below like what part of the video you didn't like, whether it's like the actual video itself or just the ranking, because if it's just the ranking, then I just know like, oh, well, you just didn't agree with me. But if it's actually something with the video, I would definitely love to hear your like criticism of it. But if you made it through all of this, thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye.